Test. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the important things that have happened in my photo booth business. And one of them is how I'm stepping back and letting people come into the business and do the operation, the legwork, the administration for me. So I don't longer see the photo booth business as a hustle. I can actually travel, take time off, and say, I own a photo booth company. And this is exactly what I want you guys to experience if you guys feel like you guys are getting burnt out or feel like your side hustle became your owner. So you don't want your business to own you. You actually want to have the freedom to step into your business, do a little bit of managing, a little bit of coaching, and then stepping away and see how things unfold. And so that's what I want to talk about today. So if you guys are a photo booth business owner and you guys are watching this, I'm very, very proud that you guys started a business, but did you guys start a business or a hustle? So that's one thing I want you guys to really, step back and think about it. So what's going on now is I have a total of 4 field managers. This happened a few months ago. I had to change, I had to pivot. So I was hiring photo booth attendants. And then what I was doing is I was promoting them to photo booth directors. And then from a photo booth director, if you are talented enough and you have the potential and show the capacity, then you would become a field manager. And so what I did is I spent a lot of money and I spent a lot of time. And I ended up with people that weren't rock stars. I ended up with talent that wasn't that great. And I ended up with a lot of flakes. And I would hire people and I would fire people quickly. And I had to remove my heart and emotion from the business. And so now what I did is instead of looking for photo booth assistants or photo booth directors, what I did is I just started offering higher market compensation for people who want to come into the photo booth industry or be part of a photo booth production company. And so what I did is I started changing different things. One of the first things that I did is I changed my job description. And the reason I recommend you guys consider doing the same thing is you guys want to hire people who are higher caliber, more experienced, and that are more professional. And so that's exactly what I did. I revised my job description, which I am more than happy to share with you guys via link so you guys can copy and paste and maybe revise it a little bit and really make it your own. And on top of that, I hired my compensation. In other words, I'm paying more now when it comes to the hourly rate. I'm in California in the Inland Empire, and starting pay for the field manager is a total of $25. Of course, there's also room for bonuses and tips. And so the reason I wanted to go live and make this video is if there's anyone out there that has questions, this will be the perfect time to post those questions. And so let me proceed with the photo booth business infrastructure that I have built. Now I have a field manager. Now the field manager gets to do pretty much everything, and I act as a mentor/coach. And so what that frees me up to do is that allows me to dive deeper into Google Business Ads, which I'm still running. And it's important for you to know your marketing and know your budget and know how much you're getting back on that ROI. They also call it ROAS, the ROAS, the return on ad spend. And so for me right now, given this industry that we're in, the photo booth industry, it's it's not easy. And I'll tell you why. It's so competitive that the cost per click has gone up drastically. So if you guys are running ads, you can probably feel the pain. But let me tell you that if you guys stay in for at least 90 days, and you guys are promoting your business on campaigns via Google, you guys try Performance Max, video, search, different types of campaigns, you'll notice that you'll start collecting data and you'll get better at marketing. Your ads will get better, your conversions will go higher, your cost per click will go down a little bit, but your click-through rate will also go up. And all that factors in, and all of a sudden you have higher conversion rate. Now, even though high conversion rate is something that is very important, what's more important is your closer. Because not only are we a service provider, but if you put some thought into it, we're salesmen. We're constantly selling. People are going to call us, people are going to email us, might leave a voicemail or a message. And our job is to reach out to them and close that deal. In other words, get them booked. And so there are strategies that I felt have really worked in my business that have allowed me to consistently stay busy and get more bang for my investment, meaning more bang for my buck when it comes to marketing. Now, I'm doing some things that are old school, and I'm also doing some things that are unorthodox. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and place them in the chat, and I'll go ahead and address those. But let me proceed with how much things have changed. Many of you guys have a website. Within that website, some of you guys might have pricing, and some of you guys have a different philosophy and have decided not to show off any of your pricing. You guys are only showing what you guys can offer as a production service, whether it's a 360 video booth, an actual standard photo booth, or even a spin 360, or maybe even a confessional booth. Confessional booth has become very popular. And that's okay because you guys want to remain mysterious and want people to actually call you. But here's the thing is you're right and you're wrong. And so you have to do what works best for you. Now, I've tried everything. Believe me when I say I've tried everything. I've been in business for over 3 years, given the date right now, 2025. And I spent so much time experimenting and testing different types of, hooks, bait, you name it. And what's worked really well is I have added the cost. So starting at now, when you have a starting at, people kind of start gauging, is this company production business within our budget? So that's one thing. And what happens is some of you guys have your websites so where it does most of the heavy lifting for you. And I think that's great. What does that look like? What does a good website look like? Well, it'll look something like people go on your website, they see testimonies, they see Google reviews, they see pictures and videos, they see details, and your website is not overwhelming. It actually looks clean. It actually looks like it was made by a professional. So then the client goes into the calendar and realizes my date is available. Let me go ahead and put down a deposit or a retainer and make sure I lock my date in. Then you, as a business owner, wake up, look at your phone, and realize someone has booked and actually paid the retainer. Congratulations. That's a great feeling. I went through that many, many times. And quite honestly, to this day, it doesn't get old. It's nice. Your business is almost operating on the administrative side almost completely just through your website. So your website, spend a good amount of time on your website because your website can also act as a closer, kind of like as a virtual assistant who's constantly selling, meaning showing the information, but also closing because you have a funnel in which people are allowed to actually put down the deposit or the retainer and book successfully. From that point on, what happens is one of my field managers will reach out to the client, give a warm introduction, and ask, how can we help you make this event extraordinary? So we start building rapport. So now the client knows that they're dealing with a photo booth business who's here to nurture and take care of them and walk them through the entire process by the hand and make it also as easy as possible. Because remember, people that are planning parties already have a lot of moving parts and have to deal with different vendors. So we want to come in as an ultimate solution, not a headache. All right. So now that you guys are get the wheels rolling, right, spinning, that's it's an amazing feeling. But most of you guys are doing all of the work. Most of you guys are revising that contract, copying and pasting that contract, sending that contract to the client, hoping they reply. All right. And then you guys text message, did you get the contract? I remember all of this because these are some of the things that I did. I didn't know any better during my first year. But now what's happening with our system is the client goes on there, gets a client agreement, gets the invoice, they sign, and it's in a sequence. It's literally a funnel in which when they get to the last page, they feel comfortable paying the retainer, in which it's non-refundable because it's a retainer. There's a difference between a retainer and a deposit. So make sure you guys understand the difference, and you guys also make sure you guys have your contracts explaining what the retainer will do for the client and how it's non-refundable. If you guys want to be a little bit flexible here, you guys can always say, we can actually use your retainer if you decide to cancel for your next event. Kind of have it as store credit, if you will, but it's entirely up to you. You're the photo booth business owner. We have Game Crush. Game Crush just wrote, yeah, good point. I'm actually using a service called Flash Quotes, which does all of that for me. They fill out the quote, I get the lead info and confirm the quote, then it's sent off. So I hope that's working for you, Game Crush. Now, I'm going to continue talking about my philosophy and the way my business is structured, and I welcome all of your questions as photo booth business owners. The next thing is this: you are doing the administrative work. You're basically become the secretary of your business because now you're going back and forth with the client, whether it's through text message, email, or phone call. And now you have to send them a list of different templates they can pick from, and then the client's going to text message you or email you back with a screenshot of what they want. And then from that point on, you have to go and start creating an overlay and then send the overlay to the client, hoping the client loves it. If they don't, then you have to start going through the revision process. Who knows how many revisions it's going to take. There's been situations where I get it on the very first try. During my first year, that was an exciting time. And there's also moments where the client knows exactly what they want and they're very picky. So then all of a sudden they're pushing you to be a greater designer by telling you, can we change this? Can we move this to the side? Can we use this hue of color? In fact, can we color match it with our logo to make sure that everything is in uniform? And then you guys might be thinking like, man, these clients are picky. They're getting on my last nerve. Reality is you can frame it however you want. But the way I see it is some of those clients made me a better designer. Some of those clients pushed me to look for other tools to bring their visions to life. So it's really how much enthusiasm you have when it comes to your business. So that's going to require time. That's going to require a good amount of work and attention to detail. So during my second year in business, what I ended up doing was I ended up hiring someone just to do the overlays. I got tired of doing overlays for the 360 video booth, and I got tired of doing templates for photo booth productions. I handed that task over to someone who actually enjoys spending time on Canva. And for me, it was a drastic relief. Why? Because I was saving myself hours throughout the week. So what my overlay designer was doing is they would reach out to the client via text message and ask them, what do you think of this model? This is the mock-up. And so they would deal with the client until they perfected it. And all I got was a message and the overlay on Canva that was the master file. So all I had to do now is take that master file that has already been approved and now plug it into either Snapic or booth.events. So that started saving me time, and I started seeing a different business unfold, a business in which there was a lot more, how can I say this? There was a lot more automation going on, and I loved it because I'm not a regular photo booth business owner. I'm also a content creator. So my schedule is extremely limited and very tight because I make these educational videos for the industry. So this freed up a lot of time for me, which allowed me to focus on a different part of the business. So then during the second year, there's more automations happening. Doing back and forth, the contract, that was not it. That wasn't sexy. So I was thinking to myself over and over again, how can I get this contract to reflect the time, the date, location, customer name, customer's contact number, versus me doing this manually every single time. And that's when I started switching over to HoneyBook. Now, HoneyBook allows me to have a client agreement, and the client can put in all of their information, which is really helpful. So now we have automations in place. But I had to train someone so good, so great that they can go out there and perform by themselves. So I was able to do that. I was fortunate enough to have faith and confidence in people in which they can go out there and do an event by themselves while I sat back and didn't kick my feet up and watch TV. No, instead, I was on my laptop. I had the event open. So I would see the 360 videos that they were generating from the event, and I would also see the photos that were being captured from the event, which is pretty cool because in a way you're monitoring them, and at the same time you're behind the scene, but also as acting as dispatch or technical support. So then that became my position. Is I became technical support. So if you guys are already at that level and you guys are doing exactly that, congratulations. I really feel like that's the next phase, with someone creates a business off of a vision and no longer ties to them to themselves physically to the outcome, physically to the brand, because then you become the brand, you become the business, and your business will never grow because God only made one of you, which is why you have to look around and realize that Chinese restaurant, that massage parlor, that oil change location, all those restaurants, have different employees, and the co-founders or owners, investors are not behind the counter. They are planting businesses and expanding, whether it's nationwide or international. And so this video here that I'm making here with you is intended to light a fire and get you guys to think, what am I doing with my life? Am I running a side hustle or am I creating a company? Let me go ahead and spend a little bit of time answering questions here on the chat. We have another comment from Game Crush. They write, how have you stopped those constant revisions requests when they are too much? Game Crush, that's a great question. I just covered it in the video. So yeah, I'm glad I spoke about that. Yeah, never mind. You just answered that. LOL. JB says, hi, my daughter and wife own a Valerie events. We're in San Diego. Thanks for all your help. You're welcome, JB. We have YouTube fan. When will you make the Google Ads course? That is a great question, and I'll address it with all honesty. And I thought about this. I think about it a lot. But let me stick to the topic about when will I create a Google Ads course. One thing about Google, just like algorithm and anything that deals with technology, it moves rapidly, it moves fast. And I thought about it, and I think I can definitely create a course that's going to be helpful. But because Google runs constant updates that are going to hurt your SEO or might even have audits going through your Google business profile, things are constantly changing. Now, if I was a person who just focused just only on Google Ads and that was my prime thing and that was my business and I had a marketing agency, then I would be more confident because I would have the infrastructure to continue building course after course, making sure every single course is up to date and is relevant to fix people's pain points. You see, that's where the money is at when you solve problems. So to answer JB YouTube fans' question is, I'm still running Google Ads to this day for my business, and they're constantly changing. So I will give you guys one tip. I don't want to leave you guys out in the dark. When it comes to Google Ads, I'm using Performance Max. And the second one that I'm using is the name. I always confuse the name because of the new Gen Z. So I'm gonna make sure I give you guys the accurate name so I don't send you through a loophole and cause any type of confusion. That has never been the plan here. So Demand Gen. I'm running Demand Gen and I'm running Performance Max. You guys might be asking yourself, why are you running two different types of ads? And that's a great question. The reason I started exploring Demand Gen is because it's giving me new information and it's also catching up to Performance Max. So they're both generating good leads. And so another thing that I'm going to look into right now while I have you guys here live is I'm going to go into one of my campaigns and I'm going to give you guys an idea of the cost per click. So right now for Demand Gen, my cost per click is only 13 cents. That's really amazing. Now, if I switch over to Performance Max, it's about $2 and a penny. So it's about $2 cost per click. And so that information is important, but what's more important is how many conversions I'm actually getting. Now, when it comes to conversions, I want you guys to understand that it's a little complex, but a phone call can be considered a conversion. A click into your website could be considered a conversion. If someone fills out the contact form and hits submit, that could be considered a conversion. So you guys have to set up your conversion goals so that the algorithm understands what they're doing that's helping your business and also what they're doing that's not really bringing you any quality leads that are actually becoming conversions. I'll give you one last one. If you guys want to step it up and start taking in phone calls, you can run a campaign in which only phone calls would be considered a conversion, and if that phone call exceeds a limited time. So I have it to where if a phone call lasts over 3 minutes, meaning my field manager is on the phone call with the potential client, if they're on the phone call for over 3 minutes, then that is considered a conversion. Why that helps? It helps because if you change the time duration, that means that the algorithm will see, hey, well, this client, before we turned them into Canary Capital Productions, when we pointed them that direction, they went through this funnel, right? They went through this journey in which they clicked here, they went to this website, they checked out this city, they were moving around. The algorithm picked up all that data. And so then what the algorithm starts doing is it starts building more data. And this is how you guys start getting more leads at a cheaper cost, but not just regular leads, high quality leads. I'll go ahead and address the chat here again because it looks like we're coming in with some more questions here. Eliana Alimova, hello. I am currently in the US, soon going back to country and motivated by you to start a 360 video booth business over there. We have high wedding culture, so I believe it would be a hit. Eliana, if you focus strictly on weddings, you can make it really big wherever you're going. If you stick to a specific prospect, a specific niche, it could be just strictly weddings, and your social media, your website, everything screams out wedding planner, wedding assistant, wedding photography. You're most likely to just really take over that niche. Now, for me, that's never been a thing. I'm gonna be frank with you guys. I get asked all the time if I can be the videographer or photographer for weddings. And quite honestly, I don't like the idea of spending countless hours walking around with the camera that's pretty heavy and just taking photos and photos. It's not for me. And if you think about it, I'm also short. So imagine a short photographer. I have to hold the camera up here to get decent shots. So I don't be, imagine me being a photographer with my height, and then I show them the photo book album. All they see is double chins. That shit would be hilarious. And same thing for videography. Not my thing, but if it's yours, own it, grow, and become the expert for that. Be known to be the expert for that niche, and you guys will do just fine. We have another question here from JB. JB writes, "Thank you for the 360 idea setup on the small rig and the two VL100s. We love it. The quick release plate, the best. Let's click up, brother. You're an encyclopedia." Hey, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, for my 360 videos, now what I'm using is I'm actually using a mirrorless camera. So the videos are coming out even greater, even better. And because the camera has a different capability, I can also change the contrast, the saturation. I can change the levels and the concentration, the sharpness, everything on the mirrorless camera, which is something that I was limited on the actual phone. So the 360 videos look like a cinematic production. That's another thing that I want to share with you guys is if you feel like your competition is fierce, start selling your quality point of view. When clients call you, let them know, hey, as you're calling around, these are some of the questions you want to ask other photo booth businesses. How are they going to be exporting the video? In what quality? How many frames per second? Ask them about the resolution and the programs that they're using. So when you start educating your prospect immediately you build trust, and you do not come off as a salesman, but instead you come up as a guide for them. Every single time I do that, two things happen. One, they go on my website, they get the retainer, and I get them as a booking. Two, they'll call back later that night or the very next day and decide to go with us. And so this is something that I feel is very important if you guys start doing and making a habit at educating your clients. Because keep in mind, guys, put yourself in their shoes. They probably never rented a photo booth. They probably seen a 360 video booth, but they don't know much about it. This is your time to shine, to educate them, ask them a good amount of questions so that you can cover all of their pain points. Once again, solving problems is where the money is at. All right, I have another question here from YouTube fan. Do you recommend website visits or calls for the ads? Calls for the ads is more potent, but there are different ways you can look at it, and I'll share different perspectives with you guys right now. I'm a photo booth business owner just like you, but the only difference is that I am creating a company that runs 95% on autopilot, meaning it doesn't need me to succeed. It needs me to be the visionary, but it doesn't need me to succeed. It doesn't need me to have an event take place and have an end result. It doesn't need me for that anymore. I've already invested in photo booth. I invested in photo booth software. I invested in people who are running my business. That's was my cost up front. It is not cheap. However, it's an amazing investment, especially when you start seeing the end result and you start getting that ROI. And I'll tap a little bit more into that in a little bit, but I feel like I have some more questions right here on the chat that I want to address. We got Mondo the Human. What's up, Mondo? JB writes, we stay in Temecula. Are you local? Riverside? I need a class on how to set up full 100 running wireless. Do you do one-on-one trainings? I'm in the Inland Empire, JB. I don't do the one-on-one consultations. However, what I'm doing right now is our team is building their technical support skills. They're really polishing in their troubleshooting when it comes to tech troubleshooting, hardware and software. So pretty soon, Canary Capital Productions is also going to be a problem solver in a realm in which you guys can call and we'll have support for you guys at a fee. So if you guys want to do one-on-one mentorships because you guys are barely starting a business and you guys are having trouble with printers, calibration, photos, quality, and all that great stuff, moving forward, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have agents available so they can do one-on-one with you guys again for a fee. But these individuals have thousands of hours in this industry and have helped me grow my business. So they will be available to do one-on-one and have a call with you to help you guys as best as we can. And so that is in the process right now because I got tired of telling people, no, I'm not doing it. No, it's not happening. No, I don't want to do it anymore. It got old. I used to do it, but I got tired of taking the calls and answering the same questions over and over again. Instead, what I decided to do is be open minded, allow new people that are already in my business, that already solved my problems, and that are really helping out with the business, and give them more opportunity to help out other people because now they've acquired skills and they have experience. And I can honestly tell you, I'm so confident that some of these photo booth field managers that that I have on deck right now are super solid. So big shout out to them. Let's see. Mondo writes, liking the video before I forget. Hint, hint, wink, wink. For sure, man. All right, guys. So, as we were just talking about Google campaign ads and also the business as a whole, where I left off was creating that autopilot, that automation. So, I'm going to go back to a question that his name was, where is it? About the website, YouTube fan. That's a good question. He said, recommend website visits or calls for the ads. Let me address that because I think it's really important. And me talking about it will probably add a lot of value to your future or value immediately if you apply what I'm about to share with you. Here's the way that I see things as far as what I experimented with and what data I collected over the last 3 years. If you have a Google campaign or any type of campaign that just drives people to your website, it's like this. Like it's like sending them somewhere and just crossing your fingers, something happens. So they're on your website now, okay, because your website wasn't ranking. And so now you have to spend money to get people to your website. So I'm going to tell you guys, this is not the greatest, most effective way of doing it. Because if you are a local service business, you are a rental local business, you should be ranking first on Google and then having your website linked to that Google business profile so that you guys can get organic traffic to your website locally for free via Google business profile. Okay. Now, if you guys don't have a Google business profile, you guys are sleeping and you guys need to wake up and you guys need to set up your Google business profile immediately and get Google reviews as well. If you guys are running Google ads and you just send them to your website because you're very proud of your website and it looks like a nice website, that's great. But everyone else has a website. And here's one thing that I also want to point out is this is you're not capturing any data. So if they bounce right out of your website, you don't know exactly what happened, where they clicked, what page were they on last before they skipped out, right? You have to have cookies and you have to have your analytics Google Manager to track all of that. Now, if you guys do the opposite and you guys run Google ads and the Google ads are more for calls, guess what? Now you have their contact number. Now they got a human on the line, and then you can literally engage immediately. And that's way more effective. Because why? Because you have their phone number. Because you did what a lot of salespeople fail to do, and that is making a connection with the prospect, getting them on the phone. That's why there's cold calling to this day. I hate cold calling. Like I wouldn't do it. But this just is a perfect example on why, if you're going to be running Google ads, it would be strategic to not only get them to your website, but to just run for calls. Because calls, people that call you are people that want quick answers and they want clear answers. They don't want to wonder if this includes setup time, this also includes travel time. No, they want to get a hold of a representative right away. They're ready to make a decision. And if you pick up that phone call, most likely, high percentage rate, you'll close them. Especially if you guys implement the strategy that I spoke about earlier, about how you guys educate them, as they are going to probably call one or two more people. All right. Now, I hope that helps, YouTube fan, because quite honestly, a lot of people miss that one. And also, if you're going to be driving traffic to your website, have your phone number that's clickable on every single page on your website, the top portion and the bottom portion on every single page, just in case. I think that will be very helpful. And I think it's absolutely free to do on your website. So just do it. All right, let's continue with the questions here. I didn't realize we were going to get so many questions, but this is great because this allows me to expand on certain topics that I think are essential to talk about. Let me go ahead and close some of these windows here. Okay, so the next question we have is, actually, Mondo, the human, says, I can close a lead 100% more if I speak to them versus sending them by my site to my site. I can tell you that I believe that to the fullest. The same thing for me. When I get a phone call, well, I don't really take on phone calls anymore. My field manager is trained to take on phone calls. You just have that human element to it, that tonality, those words exchanged. And that means a lot because you can cover so much more. Have you guys ever been in a situation when you guys are text messaging your friend or someone back and forth, and you just get frustrated and you pick up the phone and you actually call them and you cover a lot more ground with a 30-second phone call? It's the exact same concept. You can cover so much more details via phone. So that's why one of my campaigns is strictly just phone calls. I want to get as many phone calls as possible. We got H Adalat. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And they write, one of my challenges is asking my clients to leave a Google review, but 9 out of 10 are lazy, and I feel like it's not nice to following up with them about Google page review. Do you have any solutions? Well, I have a huge solution for you because we have over 360 Google reviews. And here is a key ingredient that I want you guys to serenade in, just marinate, just let it cook. All right. My photo booth field managers, they are required to get a minimum of 2 Google reviews per event. That's a requirement. Now, when they bypass and they pass a certain number, then they're going to get a bonus automatically. That's how I run my business. I incentivize more Google reviews. Now, if you guys are just asking the person who hired you for a Google review, that's a huge mistake. And I want you to turn that around. And out of all those people at the event enjoying your photo booth production, ask almost all of them, especially if you made them smile, if you made them laugh, if you got them excited and their emotions got spiked, hit them with the by the way. And make sure that you guys have a QR code on your phone screen or a sticker or on a lanyard, and tell them if you can help us, right? Show them your QR code. They'll scan it. It takes them directly to your Google business profile, and it takes them 10 seconds or less to leave you a Google review. All right. That right there, my friends, is information that if you apply, it'll change your business, help you with SEO, and the algorithm will favor you. All right. So shout out to photo booth businesses, Violet Booths out in Sydney, Australia. Jefferson Campos in Brazil uses touch picks, Luma and 360, and DSLR and mirror. Jefferson writes Snappic or other 0.00001%. I don't know what Jefferson means by that, but hey, as long as you're moving forward in a positive direction. I have another question here from a YouTube fan. YouTube fan writes, I run Check Cherry and find wasting a lot of time qualifying leads via phone call. You know, maybe what I should do is actually come up with a course on how to close phone calls. And I'll tap into the human psyche. I'll tap into the nervous system. I'll tap into the psychological aspect of it and bring all that together and show you exactly, guys, how I close calls or how I used to, because now I train that to my field managers and they're doing an excellent job closing. So if you guys are struggling closing photo booth events via phone call, that tells me that you're lacking something. And it's not about just sounding happy on the phone. Remember, it's about knowing your stuff so well and knowing human, like really understanding the human mind. In fact, maybe you guys don't know this, but you can hear a smile through the phone. And if you guys didn't know that, that just shows that there's a lot more skills for you to acquire so that you guys can close more leads over the phone. So, YouTube fan, there is room for opportunity for you. You're welcome. At a lot, eat a lot, eat a lot, at a lot. Don't hate me if I got that wrong, but I just hope some of the stuff that I share with you helps. So I'll go ahead and address some more questions that are popping up right here, right now. And then if you guys, we have 13 photo booth business owners tuned in right now. If you guys want to just fill the comment section with questions before I get out of here, uh, do that because my time is limited, but I'm here to give back to the community. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with some more questions from JB. JB writes, I'm good at customer retention and selling, closing, upselling have proven record. What I need help with is software and hardware product knowledge in the industry. So JB, my thoughts just from reading that short paragraph is that you're working the back end, you're working the leads, but maybe you're not you didn't spend so much time being the technician of the business. I was a total opposite. I spent a full year being the operator and technician of my business. So I'm really good with software and I'm really good with hardware. And that's the only way you can pick up those skills, JB, is by time spent in anything. That's where development happens. That's where growth occurs. Okay, so let's see. YouTube fan not working them properly. JB writes, I can smell my customer over the phone. That's a good one. We got VG. How do you trim your stash? Looks sharp. My stash, like my mustache, because I don't think I've ever smoked ganja on YouTube. uh, I mustache is right now. It's just growing wild. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. So JB asked me a question here. He writes, "What apps do you recommend?" Wife is asking. Hey, wife. For my 360 video booth productions, I use Snappic. For my photo booth productions, I use booth.events. For those watching, I have links to both of those softwares, and they are both links to free trials. If you sign up using the link with Snappic, that's going to give you 10% off either your weekly, your monthly, or your annual. Now, if you guys bought a photo booth, Mr. Professional, from our website, there is something in the works. I'll just go ahead and spill it out right now since you guys are the first ones here. With booth.events, if you purchase the Mr. Professional for $700, you'll be able to get booth.events Pro Plus for an entire year for only $700. Now, the Pro Plus is going to allow you to run up to 4 photo booths simultaneously on a Friday and on a Saturday and any day of the week for only $700 a year. Now, keep in mind, you can make those $700 with one event. If you guys are charging rock bottom prices, you'll get your money back in 2 events. And so that's an offer, that's an insider offer for those who bought a Mr. Professional in the past and for those who are buying a Mr. Professional in the present and in the future. You guys will be able to get that deal specifically for those. And this is something that I wanted to share maybe like weeks from now, but it's better that I share it with you now since this is the moment. This is the time we are in the present. Cool. So if you guys have any other questions here, what apps do you recommend? So once again, JB, Snapic and booth.events. Those are the two apps that I'm using. Now, if you guys are interested in not only starting a photo booth business, but scaling a photo booth business, this is the place to be in. I'm going to continue to do my best to have these conversations with you guys from a visionaire's point of view, from an entrepreneur's point of view, because I've done the operator, I've done the technician part, I've done the manager. And so now the title of this video, if I remember correctly, is running a photo booth business 95% autopilot. And so what that means too, guys, it's becoming a business that generates passive income. And I get to pour in more into a small group of people instead of going out there and dealing with hundreds of people at the event. Some of you guys love that. I don't love going to events. I don't like being around big crowds. I like my solitude. I like being in my little island. I like spending time by myself. And that's just who I am at heart. So you're welcome, JB. So once again, guys, just to summarize it all, don't get stuck in the hustle. You're going to get burnt out. When you get burnt out, you're going to make terrible decisions. When you make terrible decisions, you're going to feel like calling it quits and you don't want to get into that lane. What you want to do is right now that you are thinking of a strategy and you also have motivation and inspiration and some enthusiasm getting stirred up in that heart of yours, make sure that you share your dream with other people because you can't fulfill a dream on your own. Dreams usually come to fruition when more people believe in your vision and are here to help you with your mission, and also giving them an opportunity to grow into some of the things that they're passionate about, whether it's leadership, right? Whether it's management, whether it's then coming out of their bubble and becoming more social, them getting more familiar with cameras and videos. Build the people in your team so that when they leave with a good impression and they leave and they're so much more valuable in the marketplace. That's another thing we talked about today. I changed my job description for people that I'm hiring and also paying higher market prices for the compensation. The reason I did that is because I want to attract higher caliber, better talent for my business. I want to hire professionals. I don't want to hire kids anymore who are just being lazy, or I don't want to hire adults who think they're going to get paid just to party. That's not it. So this is why I had to revise the job description. This is exactly why I had to offer higher compensation rate so that I can attract talent. And when you guys attract talent, that talent will give you your return on investment much faster. They require less supervision, less monitoring, and that's exactly what you guys want. So if you guys want a business that you can call an actual company that you own and that doesn't own you, please start getting into automations. Please stop thinking you can do it all by yourself, just you and your wife. That is not the case. You guys will get tired. You guys will get cranky. You guys will get to a point where like you're talking shit about the client just because you're frustrated. And that wouldn't be the case if that was your very first client. But the fact is, you've dealt with so many clients yourself that it's burning you out. You understand? So if you guys catch yourselves complaining and bitching about certain clients, remember, guys, it's up to you who you want to service and how you want to run your life. I said run your life, not business. But what kind of lifestyle were you seeking when you started a photo booth business? My channel doesn't have any fluff. I don't like that. I think it's a waste of time. My channel usually just has information that's going to cut through and help you with your business. So if you guys found this interaction helpful, I would appreciate it if you guys hit the like button right over there. Before I get out of this chat here, I'm going to go ahead and leave a few more moments for any questions just in case you jumped in late. My job here today is to show you guys that it's possible, to show you guys that running an actual company feels a lot better than being the technician and operator of your business. Being the actual co-founder is such a feeling that you get a new sense of motivation because now you have underlings, you have people under you who are actually waiting on your command, waiting for direction. And they're soldiers. More than soldiers, they're mercenaries. They believe in the mission. And so this is a video that I feel like it's finally time I put out where I'm at right now with my life and what I've been doing. Before I leave, once again, guys, I'm going to go ahead and tune into the chat here and answer some of the questions that just came in. So let's start off with, we have Jefferson from Brazil. Are more people working with this and other apps in many other countries? Jefferson, I don't have a pulse on other countries. However, one thing I do know is that the photo booth industry is growing exponentially. It made 600 million last year and is expecting to make 700 million this year. And I also sell photo booths, Mr.Professional photo booth, which is an amazing investment if you guys are interested in getting the DSLR mirrorless photo booth that can also be converted into a video confessional booth. And I have insight because I'm shipping to Saudi Arabia, Canada. I've shipped over to all states here in the United States, but also the Philippines, France, and Australia. So those are some of the countries that I shipped out to, which tell me, hey, there is activity there and there's money to be made. So I hope that helps with your question there. Let's see here. We have JB. Haha, that's right. I already fought my wife on the setup of a DSLR. You guys, I was in my lab, aka my garage earlier, and I do troubleshooting so that way they could just pick up the equipment and go. And I took a picture just with the iPad with good amount of lighting. And I don't know exactly if it's because I'm used to taking photos with an actual mirrorless camera, Canon R100 with the flash, that when I seen that photo with the iPad, I thought to myself, this looks like a photo that was taken in a Roblox video game. It looked terrible. So if you guys are still shooting photo booth events with an iPad, I get it. There's an element that's fun to it, right? But it's difficult to show off those photos on your social media because people will judge your social media by the quality of photo that you took with the 12 megapixel camera from an iPad. They could have done that at home. Now, this is just me being very real because as you guys already know, I felt my responsibility was to always better and better and better myself every single event, whether it's photos or 360 videos. So yeah, if you guys are still doing iPads and you guys have a specific purpose for it, that's amazing. But if you guys are just being cheap and you guys can't see yourselves getting familiar with a flash and also a mirrorless camera, why are you guys even in the business? The business will leave you behind. So please consider switching, upgrading your systems, and provide clients with that beautiful quality and that end result that speaks volumes about your business, especially when they upload that digital file onto social media. All right, let's see here. Jefferson writes, where are we at here? Indicate AliExpress equipment in your videos because it is easier for consumption due to the fees. I don't understand that question really well, Jefferson. If you want to elaborate before I bounce, YouTube fan writes, I find Snapic beau- beauty. YouTube fan, you're misspelling too many words, bro. You gotta help me out here. But I'll see what I can make out what you wrote. I think you wrote, I find Snapic beautiful and K dash filter a bit pasty. And yeah, so I talked to Snapic engineers and I kept telling them your K dash needs to improve. And I get to a point where if I give you my feedback coming from my audience and you don't do something about it, then there's only so much that I can do. So when you guys use the beauty filter in booth.events, you guys will be blown away. And this is why I switched to booth.events because especially for glam photos, for weddings, it's just the way they coded the glam filter on booth.events looks amazing, especially if you couple it with proper lighting, meaning a flash, and you have your settings properly on your shutter, aperture, and ISO. So I highly agree with YouTube fan that, yeah, Snapic has great tools when it comes to the 360 video booth. However, they've fallen short and almost seems like they haven't done anything about the K dash filter that looks, like I said, and like you said, pasty. It doesn't look good at all. We have Game Crush who writes, I coded my own photo booth software. Was just curious if you know anything about marketing, that kind of thing. Any tips? Just start off organic. And if your videos go viral, use the videos that go viral and then promote those videos. So you know exactly what videos already have momentum, what videos already people are tuning into and not clicking out of or swiping. That's the way that I would do it as far as marketing is always start off organically, go out there with videos like a shotgun, just spray them out on your social media, see which ones get the most traction, then boost those ones. But make sure that when you boost them, you're boosting them to a point where people can actually go into a funnel and give you some information, or you collect their information and start nourishing that lead. That's how I would do it, Game Crush. We got Chocolate Designs. Do you still have the social media videos available? I bought a couple photo booths and an audio guest book. Yeah, if you guys visit my website is on all of my videos in the description section. I still have content that you guys can use to market your videos. One thing I want to touch on is if you guys get booth.events and you guys get the Pro Plus, you will get marketing media, you will get photos to market your business as well. So just wanted to throw that out there, just in case you guys didn't know that. That was something that I didn't really explore much because I already had my own videos and photos. But now that I read this message, I realize a lot of people are coming into the industry and don't have anything for marketing. So yes, on my website, I have it's called the Killer Deal that includes videos and photos for the 360 video booth and standard photo booth as well. And yes, the Canon R100 takes amazing pictures, guys. And I mean amazing pictures. If you guys know how to play with the settings and you guys also know how to set up, like I said, the most common thing is your ISO, your aperture, and your shutter speed. All right. So we got Pete. P writes, do you work with venues to help with making bookings? Pete, I don't understand your question very clearly. Do you work with venues to help with making bookings? I'm going to assume you're asking me, Pete, if I incentivize venues to refer my business so that I can get more bookings. If that's what you mean, just press 1 on your phone screen or on your computer. But I'll go ahead and assume that that's what you were asking me. There's not a lot of incentive for them to do that. So if got it, okay, Pete. So when it comes to the venues, we can kiss ass, we can take them chocolate covered strawberries and so on and so forth. But reality is that there is too many people that own venues who don't give a damn about your business and don't even like vendors. I don't know if you guys notice this, but being in the business for 3 years, there's venues who don't like dealing with vendors. And it's like, what are you doing? You need vendors. You know, your clients need the vendors there to make it an actual party. But I noticed that most venues just want to get the money, get the client, and get out, like get out of my property. That's the vibe that I got over the last 3 years when it comes to venues. So when it comes to, yeah, I had great relationships with venues, managers, and some of this. I met some actual like owners of the venue, but they've always nodded their head in agreement. And I've even made like nice videos promoting their venue, but I never got any reciprocation from them as far as bookings. So to answer your question, Pete, I haven't had any good feedback and any good results with venues trying to get a relationship going on to say, hey, recommend me. Because some venues, what they'll do is they'll say, well, we can't personally recommend you because if the client's not happy with you, then it falls back on us because we recommended you. So basically, the venue doesn't want the liability. Therefore, they usually don't offer or suggest just one vendor. What they'll usually do is like, oh, we have a list of vendors. You know, they'll say something like that, but it's hard to get an actual venue to say this is the company I would get without any doubt. yeah, it's just difficult to get that type of vibe and that type of feedback and that type of referral from a venue. But that was a pretty good question. All right, we got Jefferson T6 or R100 or R100 all day. T6, too many issues. It's an older camera. The data cables for that camera, it's not the greatest. The speed on the T6, you're not using a USB Type C, and so that's another thing. But with the R100, USB Type C to Type C, fast speeds, and there's no complaints there. R50, no, you need a hot shoe for the R50. It's good for a video camera, but for the R50, you're gonna need that hot shoe adapter to connect your actual trigger so that I can fire off. So R100, day and night, baby. I have a few of those now. Those are amazing. In fact, guys, take an extra R100 with you when you have an event. Always try to take spares with you, spare batteries, cables, you name it. Sometimes things just we're dealing with electronics. You never know when they're gonna take a shit. You know, we have a lot of faith in electronics, but we got to remember sometimes there's troubleshooting and they will fail. If you guys are ever in a situation where your flash is not flashing, I did troubleshooting with one of my photo booth business owners that bought a Mr. Professional, and it's crazy, guys. The software wasn't the issue, the camera wasn't the issue, the flash wasn't the issue, the settings wasn't the issue. I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds to tell me what you guys think the issue was, why the flash wasn't going off. I'll give you 5 seconds just tell me exactly what you think it was. And it surprised me, and then it made me realize, okay, I'm gonna have a spare one of those from now on too, because no, not the batteries. So the issue why the flash wasn't going off, guys, it wasn't the focus, it wasn't the facial recognition, it wasn't the settings. The issue was the actual cable, not the batteries. It was the cable that goes connected from the trigger to the Godox. That cable was faulty. And it's weird because the Godox system was brand new, but it comes with several cables. So I told him, try another cable. Tried another cable, boom, flash went off. I was like, that's crazy. How do you end up buying a faulty cable? Like it's brand new. So it's always a good idea to test one night prior to your event. Even if you got ready way ahead, just troubleshoot one last time before you get your equipment on the freaking car and drive off for sure. Right on. Let's go ahead and continue. We got more questions here. Yeah, the R100 is a beast. All right. Let's see. We got Demigod Media. What about Sony 6300s or an 7 A7 III? Um, I don't have too much experience with Sony cameras. I do know that both Snappic and booth.events have a compatibility list in which it'll show Nikon, Canon, and Sony cameras that you should be able to use. I've also had a few people who bought Mr. Professional photo booth who are actually using Sony cameras with some pretty high-end lenses. Keep in mind, guys, that most of my clients that buy Mr. Professional are photographers, which is pretty interesting because I remember there would always be beef between photographers and photo booth business owners. They'll look at us like, "Ugh, the photo booth." And we like look at them like, cool, the photographer, not realizing that the photographers didn't really like photo booth business owners. But it was hard for them to hate me because I will always go there and just network and try to be cool. But it's interesting that way. Um, let's see here. Yeah, Demigod Media. So maybe go on their website and see if your cameras are compatible. I mean, if your camera is a full frame, cool. If it's a crop sensor, cool. Doesn't really matter because usually for photos at a photo booth, we're using a pretty high aperture because sometimes it's group photos. However, when you do couples, you do want that bokeh and that blurred out background. You know, full frame will give you better lighting and more bokeh because it allows more light in. All right, let's see. Yes, I connected to the camera, LOL, the actual camera. All right, we got one question right here. Okay, question. What's your thought on the mirror booth? Is it worth the setup and time? No, I got a lot of people who actually bought Mr. Professional who owned a mirror booth and they're like, David, I hate it. I hate it, but I don't want to sell it because it still goes out every now and then. And if I sell it, I'll be taking too much of a loss. So I rather pick up the heavy thing and still take it to events. That's just from people that actually own a mirror booth. I made videos in the past where I told you if you're going to come into the photo booth business, do not make the mirror booth your first booth. It's a bulky, heavy item, and that mirror, it doesn't do well in daylight. You have to be in a dim area or indoors so that people can actually see the cool mirror effect with the LED lights within the mirror and get that experience. And I think mirror booths, most of them run on Microsoft, and I don't have too much experience with Microsoft. All right, guys, it's been over an hour and it's been an actual pleasure here with you guys today. This reminds me of when I was doing lives very, very often, trying to spend as much time as I could with you guys. But there is multiple things that I got to get. I have meetings tomorrow. And let me see. Hold on. We got another question coming. Let's see what the question is. Okay, question. What's your thought in the mirror booth? Is it worth the setup and time, the labor? I bet the mirror booth is probably a little bit heavier than the 360 video booth. And so also when I'm hiring, if they don't have the car required to become a field manager, I don't hire them. And I always tell them too, before we even get into the interview, read the description, because you're going to need an SUV, you're going to need a large car or a truck or a van to work for my company. Like, to be a contractor for my company, you're going to need that, and you're going to be able to, you have to be able to lift over 60 pounds by yourself. This allows people to come into your business and actually take on events by themselves. So you can run 3 events in one night with you being the dispatch or the, like I said, backup support, technical support, while you have 3 field managers out and about running events for you. That right there is so nice when that happens. You guys will be so proud of yourselves, and you guys will be proud of your team as well. YouTube fan writes, do you still recommend the standard paper or silver pearl for prints? I love both, YouTube fan. If the client is willing to pay for the silver pearl for prints, there's an upsell right there. I love how those look. But the standard paper is, of course, the most common. So for upscale events, especially weddings, when you give them that silver pearl as an option and you upgrade them on the package, they will always love how the photos come out. I love how those photos come out. I'm pretty picky, pretty technical. Just like today when I got the photo from the iPad instead of like a photo from the actual mirrorless, I looked at the iPad photo like, what the? This is Roblox quality. You're welcome, JB. Thanks for being. Thanks. Been watching for 2 years on YouTube. Oh man, that's cool, Pete. All right, ladies and gents, it was amazing hanging out here with you guys. Thank you for hitting the like button. I really appreciate the reciprocation of support and love. And it's always going to be love, right? Love, love over everything. Love what you do. All right. Today's, I don't know if you call it phrase, but today was love what you do. Love what you do. Become super curious about what you do so that you can get better at it. Remain curious. All right, y'all. Take care. Peace.